Hey guys, this video might be a bit lower quality than my other videos. My mic is probably going to sound really bad, and I'm probably going to be sounding a bit confused, if that's the right word to use, but I just wanted to talk about these two items that I have a really big problem with in Deadlock at the moment. I'm just completely riffing off the cuff here, unscripted. I'm probably going to say some things that are a little bit stupid or that only make sense to me. So if you wanted to go into my comments and totally debunk me with facts and logic that you got from the University of Reddit, then be my guest. Totally own me. I don't really give a fuck. I'm not gonna humor you. I'll take constructive criticism of what I said. That's totally fine. Okay, I actually welcome it. I welcome constructive criticism. I would love to read about why something I said was misinformed or incorrect. I know most of my subscribers came from my lore videos, and I'm over the moon with the reaction from those two videos. And don't worry, I'm already working on another one. It's going to be about holiday. It's going to be great. I hope you guys are going to love it. But that's not what this video is about. My first video on this channel was about Trophy Collector, and I don't think I explained my ideas as well as I wanted to. And also, both Trophy Collector and Cultist Sacrifice have gotten significant changes, and I think there are really big problems with both of them that need to be addressed. There were two patches, one about a couple months ago, maybe 2 months ago, and then the other one was just a few days ago, that both buffed Trophy Collector. Now the item makes 30 souls per minute per stack, if I remember correctly, which at max stacks is an obscene amount of souls, all things considered. With how many souls this item has the potential to give you, it's actually viable with an asterisk over that now, which is not a good thing. This is actually a very bad thing that Trophy Collector in its current state is a viable item. I know that's a bit of a hot take, right? To say that an item being useful is a bad thing, but they didn't fix any of the core design problems that I highlighted in my last video about this item, and it's still terribly designed in every way. If you look at how it's being used at the moment, it's currently only viable in low elo. If you're Oracle or Archon, right, I fit into that category, so I'm not going to sit on my high horse and pretend like I'm some Eternus mega genius who's just too good at the game. But I see this item being bought a lot now because it's actually viable for low elo because of how long the games drag on for. So when somebody buys Trophy Collector, usually it's a support, right? Which makes sense because they can't jungle as well. But they are buying this item in anticipation that the game is going to run long for 45-50 minutes. In the current meta, a lot of average skill range players are incapable of ending the game in a timely manner. They'll go 25 minutes in and still be too scared to fight mid-boss, and so games just drag on forever. Before, at max stacks, this item was still barely a trickle of souls, but now that it's 30 per stack times 16, right? Whoever bought Trophy Collector at 15 minutes now is running the lobby, assuming that they're at a stalemate at 45 minutes. This leads to the inevitable issue of this item functioning as a bad gameplay Skinner box, which just incentivizes stalemates. So as long as you're playing passively, you're just hovering your teammates and you're not really forcing any fights out or forcing any pushes, you are being actively rewarded for playing poorly and not helping your team. And you get punished for applying early pressure, which is something that is a very good habit you want to be building, is applying pressure early when you have an advantage. Because when you want to be applying early lane pressure or helping other lanes, you're 3,200 souls behind. You have put yourself in the behind position. So now pushing is much more difficult because the enemy has 3,200 souls more than you do, effectively. If you are understanding fundamentally how Trophy Collector functions, with the stats it provides, it does not give any stats to help get you kills. It gives sprint speed, max health, and ability range. None of these will help you secure kills other than ability range on some heroes. But what stacking a bunch of sprint speed does help you with is to run around the map and hover your teammates and just showing up to fights, which is a good thing. You should be showing up to fights, but then again, you are also 3,200 souls behind with an item that gives you no stats to help you kill people, which means that you are just running around behind on souls. And I hear people say, oh, but it's for supports. It's for supports to help their teammates. But the thing is that if you're a support with 3,200 souls, you could be buying something like Knockdown. You could be halfway to Vortex Web, which is an incredibly strong item on some heroes. You could be building Slowing Hex and another 1,600 spirit item. You could get Disarming Hex. You could get Guardian Ward. All of these items are great for helping finish off enemies and help your teammates in fights. What the fuck does Trophy Collector give you to help your teammates in fights? You can reach a little bit further with Knockdown. You can knock down somebody an extra 3 feet away. Wow, awesome. That's great. That's great. It's the best item for supports, guys. It lets you reach 3 whole feet further with Guardian Ward. You can Guardian Ward somebody from a little bit marginally farther away. Awesome. Great stats for supports, guys. Now with this item that makes you weak early and then makes you stronger in the ultra late game, which no game should ever get to, by the way, if Valve gets their shit together and properly finishes this game design-wise for release, a 45-minute game will be impossible. And we will never ever have to experience one map running past the 40-minute line. But these players who buy Trophy Collector, either directly or subconsciously being taught that dragging out games intentionally is good behavior and you should be rewarded for making games go obscenely long. Call me insane here, but this has to lead to only one thing, which is new players or inexperienced players or just bad players who buy Trophy Collector and then intentionally stretch out a game's runtime by playing ultra defensively and not pushing objectives. So now these players that are trying to make games go longer are effectively griefing. They're griefing matches so that they can have their power trip moment at the 55-minute line. This isn't their fault either, because this is the way the item is designed to be used. If you're using the item well and you understand fundamentally how to use the item, you will be intentionally dragging out games as long as possible. And that feels really fucking bad. That fucking sucks. That sucks dick. That there's an item in the game that actually punishes you for trying to end early and gives you rewards and helps you win for making a game go on forever. That fucking sucks. I feel like the way this item is designed, it's a relic or a leftover of the weird post-item rework update where Valve was trying to turn Deadlock into Overwatch, where deathballing was effectively the entire meta, and every game was a incredibly long stalemate, and you just played for kills because kills gave an insane amount of souls. I'm not going to bring up the patch notes to show what I'm talking about, but if you were there, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, and you would remember how shit the game felt back then. But yeah, this item, in my opinion, is just a leftover of an era that we have moved on from, and I don't think we will ever want to go back to. I don't know what their plan is with this item, if they actually want the game to be a 45-minute brawl and a death ball into ending at the 50-minute point after 40 minutes of complete stalemate and doing absolutely nothing. I don't know what their plan is. I don't have an idea to fix this item without fundamentally gutting the whole concept and replacing it with a new item. This is just a bad concept. This is a bad item. I don't know how this got in. I don't know who on the experimental branch gave good feedback with Trophy Collector and said this was a good item. But hopefully they were fired. Hopefully they're not helping balance this game anymore, whoever gave good feedback for Trophy Collector. The second item I want to talk about is Cultist Sacrifice, which I went way too easy on in my last video because I basically just glazed the item, but I do have fundamental problems with how this item is designed. This item basically has the exact opposite problem of Trophy Collector, where it's just way too strong. Cultist Sacrifice upgrades from monster rounds. I don't think anybody would debate me on this when I say it's the best tier 1 item in the game. You buy monster rounds in lane, you get 25% defense from NPCs, which always feels great because the troopers are deceptively strong, and a lot of heroes want to be using their lockdown abilities to get you under tower, which that 25% could save your life in some situations. But that's not the main stat. The main stat is 25% gun damage against NPCs, which is absurd for 800 souls, because the way you win this game is by taking objectives. And the 3 most valuable objectives in this game right now is the enemy towers, like the walkers, the guardians, and patron, obviously, because that's how you win the game. Mid boss, which is probably the most powerful objective in the game right now that's not the base. If you look at stat locker, I'm pretty sure every time you kill mid boss, the second time, I believe, your chances of winning go up to like 85%, which is just insane. And the third most valuable objective, I would say, is the enemy jungle. So if you control the enemy jungle, you control the economy. And if you're controlling the economy, you're ahead. And you can effectively win any fight you want if you're ahead by enough. So when Monster Round says you do 25% more gun damage against NPCs, what that actually means is you win the game 25% faster. You get ahead in souls 25% faster. You can destroy the enemy base 25% faster, which is a crazy stat on its own, which will never not be powerful. And you can go into the mega late game and still hold on to this 800 soul item because of just how valuable it is. It never stops being useful to win the game 25% faster, unless there's something I'm missing. Now, if we look at what Cultist Sacrifice does, it gives you a new active, which is every 260 seconds, if I remember correctly, where you can instantly steal a tier 3 creep, which is functionally a 1k soul swing every time you use it, because you get 600 souls from that one creep that you deny from the enemy, and since you're denying it in the enemy jungle, they are also not going to be getting about 400 souls, which is 1,000 souls every 260 seconds difference between the two teams. Not only that, but it actually has a built-in half camp clear, which minimizes the respawns of tier 3 creeps. So you can run in, grab a big creep, and be out in less than 20 seconds. And that camp can go, especially in low elo, you can go 10, 20 fucking minutes, and that tier 3 camp is still half cleared 20 minutes later, because some people just don't understand how to clear jungle effectively, and when they walk by a tier 3 camp that only has 2 small creeps in it, they don't finish it off because they want to go do something else. This ability on its own is insane. To effectively gain 1,000 souls over your enemy every 260 seconds. Also, it is better than monster rounds because you get an extra 5% defense and 5% damage against NPCs. So it's 30% now. You get to win the game 30% faster. Is there any situation where you don't want to be winning the game 30% faster? Unless you're someone like Pocket, who is a spirit nuker, because your gun is not really great at destroying objectives without investing into gun first. But this item also gives ability range. So if you're someone like Pocket, this item always feels good on. Cultist will never not feel good on most heroes because it does give ability range. But the thing about the ability range is it's not the same as Trophy Collector. You're not running around at 25 minutes with 5 extra ability range. You always have 15% ability range whenever the active is up. The active has a bit of downtime, right? But as long as you play around this and you understand you should be pushing heavily when you have your ability range and your fire rate. It also gives fire rate. It gives extra health, which is one of the most valuable stats in the game, right? This extra health always feels good. Same thing on Trophy Collector, it also feels good. The extra health is a great stat to have. But on Cultist, you always have the extra health. That you don't have to get kills first. At minute 8, you can eat a tier 3 camp and then immediately have the same amount of bonus health that you would get at 30 minutes on Trophy Collector. And the fire rate will never not feel good, especially since you want to be shooting the tower instead of bursting it with spirit damage, because you have that extra gun damage against NPCs. So if you're playing smart and you're understanding your role in pubs, I'm speaking completely from pubs. I'm not really speaking about pro play because I don't know anything about that. But if you're in a pub, right, and you random queued with 5 other people who you don't know, you can guarantee you will at least be equal with the enemy team, because every 260 seconds you can gain 1,000 souls on them, and also you will have extra fire rate to push with, extra health to stay alive with, and ability range to help with whatever tools are in your kit. The way Yoshi nerfed this item was by lowering the fire rate you get, and I think he also lowered the amount of health you get as well, which just tells me the developers don't fundamentally understand what makes Cultist Sacrifice so strong. People aren't buying this item because the fire rate is insane. Nobody's buying Cultist Sacrifice for the fire rate. No, people are buying this item because you can gain 1,000 souls on the enemy team every 260 seconds. And also, it's just a better monster round, which is already an insane item on its own, which most heroes are going to want to be buying in lane. So you have an upgrade to an item everybody already has that just does what the item they're already buying does, but better in every way. It's not about the fire rate. It's never been about the fire rate. It's never been about the ability range. It's never been about the health. It's been about the fact that you can now win the game 30% faster. And also, you can control the economy. I've had games where my team buys 5 or 6 cultist sacrifices. And you know what happens is there's never any jungle on the map. Because we all clear it so quickly that the enemy has effectively 0 time to catch their jungle as it spawns, because we can immediately roll in and eat 6,000 souls every 260 seconds from them. Call me crazy, but how is this not insane? You can swing the entire economy by buying this item. And it's not the same thing as Trophy Collector, because Trophy Collector, you need to go with a period of downtime in the early game where you're incredibly weak. Cultist Sacrifice flips that on its head and gives you some stats that early, right, the fire rate feels really good and the health feels really good. So it's not an investment. It's not an investment item because it gives you things you already want to have early. So it rewards you for pushing early when it's not on cooldown, when you have the effect up, which is incredibly strong. It's an incredibly strong effect, and if this item was just the active and it only gave bonus souls and it did not give any of the effects, no range, fire rate, or health, I would still buy this item. I would still buy Cultist Sacrifice, even if it gave no stats. I would probably buy it a little bit later, but it is incredibly strong. One issue that I do have with this item's design is that it has the built-in half camp clear effect, which is very strong. Once again, you can instantly clear a camp of the most valuable source of souls in it and then immediately bail, but there's nowhere in the game that tells you to not do this to your friendly camps on your side of the map. When a new player starts playing, they don't understand how jungle works, and so they buy this item and they will eat one of the big creeps on their side of the map, and they've just effectively griefed their team. And until somebody goes and finishes off that camp, this player has unintentionally robbed their teammate of some 400 souls. And I don't blame them, right? If you don't know, right? If you don't know that not finishing off camps is actively hurting your entire team, I'm not going to sit here and shit on you for that. But Deadlock does not provide any resources for new players to understand how to use this item, and it leads to a lot of people who don't understand Cultist Sacrifice and the way it works, and they grief their team without understanding why they're griefing or why what they just did was incredibly bad, which is just a fundamental design flaw that I don't know how to repair, but it does need some kind of addressing. I don't know if it just needs a little tooltip or some little piece added in the tutorial that explains to not have clear camps, but something needs to exist to discourage this bad behavior for new players. Now, unlike Trophy Collector, I actually do have a way this item could be fixed. Either lean into the economy control aspect and allow for more NPC shred, give it a bit more bonus damage to NPCs, and lessen the fire rate, the extra health that you get, or just remove it all entirely and make this a pure economic item, which would be fine. Or you can lean to the gun more and make it an item that mostly just gun carriers are going to want to be buying, where it gives more fire rate and maybe more bonus health, but less bonus souls from camps or none at all. So it is less oppressive as an economic item, but has more value to one specific playstyle, like a Haze or a Wraith or an Infernus, and it stops being a wonder item that every single hero wants to be buying because of just how good it is. Every single item in the game basically has an archetype or a certain playstyle or class of hero that wants to be buying that item. And Cultist Sacrifice doesn't really have that, because it's just a Swiss Army knife where it gives stats for every single playstyle and every single hero that wants to be getting at least one or two of those stats. Specifically, more souls. Every hero wants to be getting more souls. I know I probably said some things that were factually wrong in this video, and I probably did play up my opinion just a little bit for dramatic effect, but I do stand by everything that I'm saying, because this is just my experience. This is what I've seen. I have like 1,300 games, and this is what I've experienced as an Oracle player. I know people in lower or higher elo probably have different opinions on both these items, but from what I've seen, this is my grievance with the game at the moment. But that's everything for now. If you liked the video, press all the buttons. Thank you for watching.